Hello. So we're going to do a quick little tutorial on how to read our data from our file so we can use it in our program. Say we want to read the coordinates of an aggregate. Here's the coordinates of an aggregate from your structure factor assignment. We have an x, y, z with three decimal places. So we have floating point numbers here, and we want to read them in. So I'm going to do this in two ways. I have two methods here to do it. I have more of a C method and more of a C++ method. So we look at our include statements. Nothing the same old here, but for the C++ method, I'm going to use this stuff here. So string, IO, and fstream lets us work with files. So if I wanted to read to a file in the C++ method, or if I wanted to read from a file, and string lets us use strings. Using namespace, standard namespace here, that's just helps us makes writing to the console and writing to the file a lot more compact. So it's just a good thing to have. It's not necessarily, but it makes all this code work better, or it makes the statements more compact, so we don't have to type as much. So this file has 9,509 entries. I have two functions, the read file and the read file 2. The read file 2 is going to be the C++ version. And my main's kind of standard how we've been doing it. I have my XYZ array. I have a character array. I give it 50 spaces. And then I have a string that's called name2. Now, a character array and a string are identical. A string holds a bunch of characters, and a character array holds a bunch of characters, so they're almost identical. So we start out with the C method here. It's going to put our name of our file into the character array named name. So name is going to have this value. Let's go with this because it's not about text. And then it's going to read the file. So it takes the arrays we want to fill, the name of the file, and the length of the file. We have the C++ method. Well, we have the string name2, and it gets this value here. Again, this file is not .text. So here's my file. There's the file right there. You want it in there with it where the executable is. And here, so here's, I call this project read from file, and then I put it in the read from file folder. There it is. Okay, so and it takes the same thing. XYZ array, the name. This is name2, so this is the C method, and then the length. Let's just build it. Okay, so the small changes take effect. Let's look at the regular C method. So we have a file variable. I call it input because we're inputting data. And then we use the fopen, give it the name. And then here, this is for reading. We're going to read from this file. And then I have a for loop that goes through the length, and I use a function called fscanf, file scan. So it takes the input file variable, and then it takes the how the file is formatted here. So we have X, Y, and Z in double floating point numbers. Now, if they were separated by a comma, you put a comma here in the space, so it has to exactly match what's in the file. And then you see we're putting X of I, Y of I, and Z of I, but now we have this ampersand here. That stands for address. Say, okay, take this and put it in the address of X of I. Take this, put it in the address of Y sub I, Z sub I. And then I'll go ahead and I'm going to print what I just read. You don't have to print. It's a good idea to print. Sometimes I'll show what happens when something's wrong. It'll still do all this, but it'll have a bunch of garbage. So it's always good to sometimes print if you can. If you have a big long code, maybe it's not feasible. And so I'm going to have let's look at this print statement for a second. I have so inside my brackets here, I have basically like we have had before, percent %lf, but I have this 0-2. Well, the 0-2 is or 0.2, 0.2. So the 0.2 means 2 decimal points. We're only going to keep 2 decimal points of that data. If we look at the file, we have 3 decimal points. So the first X should be 185.72 when I print it. It's it's just going to cut it off right there. Just print that to make it shorthand. And then I get X1C. Okay, and then of course I have to close my file. And since this is a void, I return nothing. That's the C method. Read file 2 is the C+ method. So basically, the only thing changed here is now I'm having a string. It's name 2, but when I read it here, it's just going to call it name. I have a new variable temp that's just going to be a temporary holder. So first I have to open the file. I'm going to call the file, here's my file variable. It's the input file string, if string. I'm going to call this file in, not input, just because I could call it input. And to open the file, it's just in.open name of the file. Now I have this I equals 0, because I is going to be our index. Now I'm doing a while loop. This is different. I have this AND condition. So this here is while in, remember that's our file variable, is not, this is in.eof is end of file. So, and this is not. When you have, when you see the exclamation mark in logic, that means not. So you can say not equal in an if statement. If you does, we want that. So this is saying while I'm not at the end of file and I is less than length. So I can't go over the array length. So imagine that I messed up and there's really 10,000 elements in this file. Well, this says, okay, you're going to stop reading there. Or I messed up and there's only 9,000. Well, then this will stop us from going over the file and reading junk data. So both these are safe. So it's actually a little better than the C method, I think. Okay, and then we want to read our first value. Well, this is how we do it. File variable, it's going to take some data and it's going to put it over into this temp variable. That says, hey, that first thing is this, puts it there. You see it's like suck data this way into that variable. And then I just put that variable to the ith. And so I'm going to suck some data from this in again, put in this temporary variable, and that's going to be my y of I. And then I'm going to do it again for my z. And then this is how, and then of course at the end of this, every end of this loop, I have to increment my I. So here's how you print out to the console here. It's just cout instead of printf, cout, and then I have to define everything. So I can just say, there's my first bracket in space, and then you see how the arrows are going the other way. I'm going to take all this and send it to the console. So it's going, the arrows are going the other way. So brace, and then the ith value of the ith value of x. Then I'm separating by column and space, y value, the ith y value, comma space, z, space, close bracket. And then this is end line. So this will tell you return. It's like the it's like this bit of code in C. And I want to do the same thing here. I want to have 2 decimal points. I don't want to have 3 decimal points there when I print to the screen. So what I do here is I do fixed C. So I say, hey, cout be fixed. You can do fixed. You can do scientific notation, whatever it is. Fixed means that we're going to do decimal points, and it's going to be, when we do precision, it's going to be the precision's after the decimal points. If I didn't have this fixed and I said precision 2 here, then it just give me the first 2 numbers and make it like scientific notation. So if I didn't have that and I just set precision 2, it would just give me the 1 and the 8. So it'd be like 1.8 times 10 to the 3rd or something like that, or 10 to the 2. So you need that fixed there and the precision 2 there. And then of course you got to close your file in .close. Pretty simple. I'm going to put this copy of this code on Canvas and the program hints along with this video. So go ahead and run this and see how it works. So there we go, X, Y, Z, and it seems to be reading good data, and then it's going to do it twice. I think it started again. So it read the file twice. There we go. Worked fine. Okay, so we know we read that file. So the last, let's look at this. So the last entry in our data here, 46.78. See how it rounded it? It actually rounded it when it printed it. Yep. And yep. Okay. So let's actually mess this up here. Let's say, oh, let's rename this file. Or undo rename. So now I made it a .text, so it's not exactly what's here. So let's look what happens. Like, oh, the file's there, but the name is slightly wrong, right? I don't have the .text here. What happens when we run this? Oh no! Boom. So let's try again. So retry. Where's it getting? It's getting hit here. So it's saying, hey, something's wrong. Did not like that. Okay, but that only got to the first one. So let's comment out this one. So the C method totally crashed on us. So we're going to, well, it might be. No, let's just close this. Let's try the C++ method. It actually is running. And you see our data makes no sense. It's just a bunch of memory addresses. So it actually opened the file. And this is going to run forever. Because it just opened a file and it opened a file, or pretended to open a file, this, without the .text. So this will just run forever. So you got to be very, very careful when you're reading from files, because stuff like this can happen. Okay, I'll post this code. So remember, the name you give it needs to match exactly, the extension and everything. All right, see you again in class. Or see the, yeah, so the structure factors will be due, I think, this coming Thursday. But I'll see you this Tuesday. If you have any questions, email me or stop by my office on Monday. All right, bye.